315 and 314 for a shooting at Century Theaters. They're saying somebody's shooting in the auditorium.
A midnight premiere turns violent.
They're saying there's hundreds of people just running around.
70 people hurt. 12 lives lost.
I got people running out of the theater, they're shot.
Each one with their own incredible story.
We need rescue inside the auditorium, multiple victims.
3 members of the military killed saving lives. A Navy sailor who covered his girlfriend.
He was a wonderful young man.
An Air Force reservist who saved a friend. And a former sailor protecting the one he loved.
Whether he knew a person or not, he always just wanted to be the hero.
And there were those who never expected to be heroes. A 27-year-old who dove in front of gunfire to save his girlfriend.
That he laid down his life for his friends.
A 24-year-old who shielded the girl he loved.
Hold me down. And he covered my head. And he said, shh, stay down, it's okay, shh, stay down. So I did.
Others just beginning to live their lives. A son and brother celebrating his birthday and first wedding anniversary.
And you have children, and your children are then, you know, you're supposed to grow old with your children.
A teenager with an infectious smile.
He definitely was just a silly guy. I felt just aimed to make people laugh.
A Metro State student and aspiring sportscaster.
She's just this vivacious, like, go, go, go character.
Another college student who loved a night out with friends.
We are blessed to have had the opportunity of Michaela touching our lives.
A single mom of 2 going back to school.
She didn't just be happy, she was striving to be happy.
The theater shooting's oldest victim, a father of 4, at the movies with 2 of his children. And then, the youngest.
She was just so excited about going to school.
A little girl, just 6 years old.
There's a huge hole in my heart from the loss of my granddaughter.
For a long time I felt responsible, and I still do a little bit, and that's part of the thing that's hard.
Now, a year later.
It does make you slow down and really appreciate life.
Time to heal.
The pain tells me that I'm still alive, but I can still push through it.
Time to reflect.
There was no regrets. There was no unspoken words.
Time to stand. Aurora strong.
From a dark night, heroes rise, entering Theater 9 as strangers, now forever linked.
Tonight, we share some of their stories. Stories of survival, stories of courage, and many stories still being written.
For Joshua Nolan, the fight is not over. 7 News reporter Jacqueline Allen takes us inside the operating room for a look at his journey of healing.
Take a big breath in.
The surgery is supposed to be a simple one.
Breathe and relax.
But if Joshua Nolan has learned anything in the last year, it's never to take life for granted.
That was something we pre-planned for a while. You know, we'll make sure we go and see the midnight matinee of the Batman movie.
Remembering his excitement that night seems like a long time ago.
The bullet went straight through.
One bullet hit his arm.
So I was extremely lucky. Actually hit the bone, otherwise it would have completely blown off my entire right arm.
Another bullet hit his leg. After 6 surgeries, he's in constant pain where he isn't numb.
You know, I constantly massage my arm, but there's no feeling at all in here. So, I constantly do it, hoping I might feel something, but I don't.
Was the tattoo there before?
No, this is the skin flap that they removed from the back of my shoulder. So my original tattoo is back here on my shoulder, and they removed a big chunk of it and they put it right here.
Before, the bird on his back was a high school nickname. After, a permanent reminder he survived and bears the scars.
It's definitely a wonderful conversation starter for a lot of first dates.
It's clear something prepared Joshua Nolan to face the grueling physical recovery of the last 12 months. Maybe his previous military training, marathons, mountains climbed. Still, there were days it was tough, even for him, especially when he had to ask for help.
I couldn't bear even lifting up a fork so I can eat because the pain was too hard on my arm. I couldn't even walk down the street with my kids because I couldn't even stand up straight, and I was going to fall right down.
These days, while he still can't run, he rides long and hard, and he feels like himself again.
It still hurts a lot, going through that physical pain, but the pain tells me that I'm still alive, but I can still push through it.
As part of the healing process, a few months ago, Josh walked into Theater 9 at the Aurora movie theater for the first time since the shooting.
My legs felt completely numb, they were heavy. I was putting all my weight into my cane just to take those few steps. And I did exactly what I planned originally before I got out of the hospital, was to go back into that seat, stand up and say, I made it. You did not take my life. You did not, I survived. And that was my biggest accomplishment emotionally to get through that. This is a little bit more fun.
Recovery has been a process. He still has bad days and really bad days. But through it all, there have been family, friends, and famous visitors lifting his spirits and providing support.
It really shows of the human kindness that really comes out when a tragedy happens. It really shows how, especially how this country is built on, that we take care of each other.
Take a big breath in and out.
On this day, Josh was being prepped for surgery once again, removing a filter that prevented blood clots while he was immobile. Our cameras are allowed in the operating room for what's usually a simple procedure, taking a few minutes. But before long, this time, it becomes complicated.
So Josh, your filter is tipped a little bit.
After more than an hour, the surgeon finally says, success.
Joshua, we got it. We're going to pull it out.
A sigh of relief. A job well done.
Any day can be your last.
If anything has changed in the last year for Joshua Nolan, it's a new appreciation for every single day. He thinks about the 12 people who died 1 year ago, and he promises to fight the pain, to ask for help, and to appreciate his family and friends. After all this, he'll never take life for granted again.
That's my goal, is I hope that I can, be a better person each year, that I surpass that date. If I sit there and become afraid every single day of what has happened to me, then Holmes wins. And I'm never going to let him win.
Joshua says the hardest decision was to seek counseling, but it's helping him cope with his PTSD. Today, Joshua can go to a movie with his kids or friends, but not by himself. Not yet.
Two emotions, one day for the Sullivan family. July 20th was a day to celebrate the birthday of their son Alex, but this year it also marks the day he died. Tonight, the Sullivan family sits down with 7 News reporter Lindsay Sablon for a look at how his spirit lives on.
We're moving forward. We're, we're not saying we don't take steps back, but we continue, to move forward.
It's been 1 year since Tom lost his son and Megan, her brother. But they truly mean it when they say they're looking ahead.
At that moment, you didn't think that you could be a year from now. And, we're almost a year from now, and I think it's, kind of, gives a lot of hope.
Since Alex's death, Megan changed her career path, doing communications with the local fire department and establishing a nonprofit for victims of the shooting. Her goal, to help others in a moment of crisis.
When you're in the thick of, an emergency situation and you realize all the different, people that are responsible for making, things move forward, it's like I did that, and I did that well in the moment, and I can do that.
These pictures and memories are all that's left of Alex, but he's just as present in the family as he's ever been.
From time to time, something will happen, and it will be like, well, that's, oh, I wish I could tell Alex.
Alex's name and the date he left this world forever marked on his dad's wrist. In Gaelic, the words "my brother" on Megan's foot.
Monte hair.
When I asked about their favorite story, it was impossible to narrow down to just one. So they told me about his wake held in their backyard. Tom offered for anyone to share their favorite Alex moment. The only stipulation for this Irish family, you take a shot of Jameson.
The stories went on for 6.5 hours. From, stories about him as a little kid to him, when he was streaking our house as an 18-year-old. We went through, 6 of the large bottles of Jamesons and 2 of the smaller ones, and just heard story after story.
Tom retired after Alex's death and is now working with local lawmakers to understand how something like July 20th, 2012 could happen.
I don't want there to be another Colorado father, that has to bury his son. I mean, that's, as we've said, that's the worst day of your life.
The love and hope found here proves that it's acceptance that keeps the Aurora community strong.
I think to myself, 20 years from now, I'm going to be 46, and my life is going to look very different. But, I'm still going to be dealing with there's no closure or anything to it. It's just there, and you just have to be, okay, that's there. I don't want to deal with it right now, and that's okay.
The nonprofit created by Alex's sister is called Aurora Rise. You can find information on how to donate on our website, thedenverchannel.com.
An ambulance bay transformed in a matter of minutes. Next on 7 News Aurora Strong, the struggles of the past year for the nurses and doctors who saved lives.
And how for one victim, the theater shooting now has others across the country turning to him for guidance.
The victims of the theater shooting extend beyond Theater 9. The first responders saving so many lives that night, and today, a year later, many still dealing with the trauma. Here's 7 News reporter Russell Haythorne.
Daryl in front of everybody being a goofball.
Yeah. If there's one thing Daryl Johnson knows about nursing,
it's good to be happy.
And good bedside manner can help reassure even the most critical patients.
I'm here to make people better, the best I can. Sometimes making them laugh or smile is everything to them,
That's the easy part.
It's my job. I sign up to help people.
Taking care of himself is often secondary.
What's the past year been like for you?
It has been a rough year for me. A lot of counseling and therapy.
I think for a lot of us, it was really hard to talk to our families about it.
April Kaler is the emergency department manager at University Hospital.
All of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, wow, I really need to take care of myself too, and that will help me be a better leader.
Both were working the ER the night of the Century 16 shooting.
I remember the very first patient who I encountered that night, young man shot in the eye. It's very vivid in my mind to this day.
Surveillance video shows one patrol unit in the ER bay immediately followed by 2 more. It wasn't ambulances, but police in their cars bringing in victims, then a frantic race to get the patients out of the police cars and into the hospital, and finally a 4th patrol unit pulling in as well.
Mentally, it is one of the hardest things I've ever experienced. And or still living.
What Daryl and April are still coming to terms with is their own trauma.
I had to learn how to control my emotions and my reactions to other tragedies. I think that's what I struggled the most with after the event.
For Daryl, there is depression, and 2 months ago, a clinical diagnosis of PTSD.
It's just one of those things that I constantly replay to this day. I used to think that people who went to counseling, I thought it was just for crazy people. I have no shame in saying now that I am a big fan of counseling.
April copes by focusing on the positives. She gave a speech at a conference earlier this year, a turning point for her.
At the end of the conference, I actually had one nurse stand up and she said to me in front of everyone, she's like, "You've given me the strength to realize that I could survive an event like this too."
She also focuses on slowing down, especially after her 4-year-old daughter and 8-year-old son go to bed.
Now when I check on him, I pause a little bit longer and stare at him instead of just walking in the room and walking out.
Daryl is getting closure from the very victims he helped save.
I've been able to either meet with all of the victims who I was involved with or their family members. That helped me the most because typically in the ER, we never get to see how they're doing after they leave our department.
I think 7/20 was the start of, a rough year for us, and I think we're looking forward to the future because we think it's bright down here.
All of the patients who arrived at University of Colorado Hospital alive survived, a success in which these first responders take great pride.
Lives transformed forever by the theater shooting. Up next, one victim shows us how his story of survival 1 year ago is now touching other lives and making a difference. He lost a friend, but he survived. Today, Marcus Weaver is using his pain to help others overcome theirs. He shares his story of love and light with 7 News anchor Ana Cabrera.
It's been a long road.
For a long time, I felt responsible, and I still do a little bit, and that's part of the thing that's hard.
The healing not complete.
It's not as bad as it used to be. There is some numbness still.
But Marcus Weaver is a survivor.
I know that through God's grace that I'm here.
His friend Rebecca Wingo died in the Century 16 Theater. Marcus was hit twice in the shoulder, but somehow he made it out.
July 20th, 2013 means a lot because it really shows how a lot of us are moving forward.
Facing a tough reality since losing his friend, Marcus has found comfort with his faith.
Reading my Bible, and the scripture poked out. It was 2 Corinthians 4:6. I'll never forget. And it said, well, God says as people, we can be a light in the darkness. And so I read that, and I kept reading, and it was just, well, maybe I can be a light.
The theater shooting unexpectedly catapulting Marcus into the spotlight.
You know, the world wants to embrace the survivors.
It's proved to be a platform for him to shine his light, sharing his story across the country with prisoners, the homeless, and children looking for guidance.
Well, I went and spoke to the youth group, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house after I finished.
His message touching one life at a time. But Marcus's mission even greater.
Good morning, Mile High City has changed people, changing lives.
We are out here to make an impact in the community.
A radio show on 101.5 called Changed People, Changing Lives. This allows Marcus to showcase others who are making a difference.
So Beth, how did you get involved with the Home Builders Foundation?
In many ways, this is Marcus's way of honoring Rebecca's memory.
And she was just a nurturing person. Everybody who knew her or the people in her circle who I met, in that short period of time, just always liked her. She was always trying to help other people. I feel that she's looking down on everybody who was a part of that and encouraging us in her own little way.
So perhaps it was Rebecca who helped nurture Marcus's heart of service. And in that spirit, he even found love.
We do ministry work together. We go out and we do street ministry along Colfax.
Marcus married his wife Megan this past March.
Oh man, I forgot my ring. I take it off to take a shower.
Oh,
I just forgot it. I'm gonna get in trouble.
For Marcus, a year after one of his darkest days, life isn't necessarily easy, but he's found his light.
If it can help somebody who's struggling with, addiction, or an obstacle or a Goliath in their life, then I guess I've served my purpose. We all could be points of light, and so I just try to do my part.
Marcus's next project is to open a transitional housing facility through ABC Ministries. Right now, they're in the process of transforming a warehouse with 300 beds to be up and running by next year.
Helping an entire community overcome tragedy. Up next, a new program, the first of its kind in the country, designed to help anyone coping with trauma. Aurora Strong. It's the feeling of an entire community as it moves forward, but it's also a new tool to help them do it.
A new community resilience center called Aurora Strong is now open. Its goal to help people manage traumatic stress by offering individual and group therapies to help with coping and resilience skills.
Look at this community as a community that's come together out of love and caring and kindness to create a system that cares.
I hope that the Aurora Strong Resilience Center will remind people to put one foot in front of the other and continue to remember what my brother would say, that there is always tomorrow.
The center is in the basement of the former City Library building. TheDenverChannel.com is your source for more information on Aurora Strong.
From helping the victims to donating to programs designed to help others overcome tragedy, you can find it there.
There's also more stories of survival, courage, and resilience, all on TheDenverChannel.com.
Thanks for watching this 7 News special presentation.
Good night.